This is my ranking of every Mario Party 4 minigame. Just like always, only my opinion and no one else's. And concept matters. And difficulty level and replayability matter as well. Got no more rules for ya, so let's go! 59. Bowser's Bigger Blast. I'm sure this is obvious, but this minigame is the exact same as Bowser's Big Blast from Mario Party 2. Players take turns pressing plungers, hoping the one they pick won't detonate the huge Bowser bomb, and the last player standing wins. And yes, it's still a battle minigame, and I'm sure you know what that means by now. It could completely 180 a board, solely due to luck and absolutely no skill whatsoever. And plus, the concept is nothing special, since it's literally no different from the Mario Party 2 version. So this minigame sucks all around. If you disagree, your opinion is invalid. 58. Doors of Doom. You're in a dungeon with several rooms, each with 2 doors. You must pick one to go through, hoping it'll lead to the next room and not Bowser. If you do run into Bowser, you lose. And that's it. Yes, there's no way to tell which door's the correct one, so it's luck-based. But that's not all. It's been proven that no matter which door you pick, the result will be the same either way, so what's even the point? 57. Balloon of Doom. The players take turns inflating a balloon, and if you pop it, you lose. That's it. As you can probably tell, this one is luck-based also, since there's no way of knowing when the balloon will pop. And also, it's just boring, because, you know, you're just inflating a balloon until it pops. Well, you take turns doing so, so it's just slow-paced. Oh, luck-based games, am I right? 56. Fruits of Doom. Bowser wants lots of fruits, which the players take turns bringing to him. The first player to give him one he doesn't want loses. This one's a quasi-luck-based minigame. Bowser will say which fruits he wants, but only once, which means you have to memorize. But here's where the luck part comes in. Bowser speaks this fast when telling you which fruit he wants, so good luck keeping track of it all. And if I have to wish you luck for a minigame, you can bet it's gonna be low on my list. 55. Panels of Doom. What's with all these of Doom minigames? The players stand atop several floating platforms, each with a different number. They must each pick one to stand on, then they'll take turns hitting a dice block. The number you get will make the platform with the same number collapse, and of course, if that happens to be the one you're standing on, you lose. Oh, a luck-based one again. I guess this one at least has a pretty unique and interesting concept, but a luck-based game is a luck-based game. 54. Goomba's Chip Flip. The players take turns choosing face-down poker chips, each with a different number. The number you get gets added to your score, and the first player to reach 50 points wins. Another luck-based one. But this one's concept is pretty cool, I guess. I don't really know what else to say. Let's just move on. 53. Hide and Go Boom. This one is quite similar to Hide and Sneak from Mario Party 3. Each team player must hide in one of 4 cannons, and once they do, the lone player must pick 3 of the cannons to fire, and any team players to get blasted off or out. If the lone player gets all 3 of them, he or she wins. But if even one of them hides in a cannon he or she doesn't light, the team wins. Again, I suppose that if you're on the team with 2 other human players, you could increase your chances of winning by coordinating with each other behind the lone player's back. But even with that, this minigame still just comes down to luck. 52. Panel Panic. This one's pretty much the exact same thing as Panels of Doom, only it's a free-for-all instead of a duel. I prefer this version for really just one reason. Minigames tends to be more fun with more players, because, you know, the more the merrier. I've lost track of how many times I've said that already, but even so, it's no less luck-based, and though I do like the concept, luck is luck. Oh, look all this luck, man. 51. Mario Speed Wagons. You know how, in Mario Kart, when you begin a race, you have to press the button at just the right time to get a speed boost? This minigame is basically that, followed by a simple kart race across a straight track. This minigame is really bland and boring. Sure, it requires good timing at the beginning, and you also have to keep switching gears while you're driving, but those don't make it any more fun or exciting. If the track had a few turns and maybe some obstacles, this minigame probably could have been one of my favorites, since, you know, I love racing games. 50. Candlelight Fight. I like to think of this one as a combination of Lights Out from Mario Party 2 and Hyper Hydrants from Mario Party 3. The lone player's got a lit candle, and the team players, each with their own water gun, must keep spraying the candle trying to extinguish it. If they can do so in the time limits, they win, but if not, the lone player wins. This one's concept is okay, I guess, but the main issue here is that it's hard for the team players to hit the flame because of how small it is, so the lone player has an unfair advantage. 49. Goal! The team players must kick soccer balls into a goal, which is guarded by the lone player, who, of course, must block said soccer balls. If the team can make 10 goals within the time limit, they win, but if not, the lone player wins. This one's not luck-based, but it's still pretty bad. The team players are able to aim their shots both horizontally and vertically, and if they work in good sync, they can make things really hard for the lone player. In other words, this minigame is broken in the team's favor, at least in my experience. 48. Cheap Cheap Sweep. Each team is in a pool with several Cheap Cheeps, and using nets, they must catch them and drop them into their goal. Doing so scores teams points, and the team with the most points when time expires wins. However, there's a catch, no pun intended. If players move too fast, they'll scare the Cheap Cheeps away, which means they must move slowly and sneak up on them to catch them. Like I've said before, I'm not really a fan of games where you must restrict your movement. If it wasn't for the movement restriction, I might like Cheap Cheap Sweep significantly more. 47, right or left. Each team has their own paddle boat, which they must race across a long, dark cave. The first team to make it out wins. Are you thinking racing games and how I love them? Well, you're right to think that, but in this one, the pace is slow, for one, and two, the controls feel loose and slippery. The fire-breathing statues are cool, but other than that, I don't really care for this one, racing minigame or not. 46, Barrel Baron. You're in an open desert field and must walk around in search of buried oil jugs. You want to find and strike as many as you can in the time limits, trying for a new record. The bigger the jug, the more points it's worth. Concept, and it's a little fun, I suppose, but overall, this minigame's just decent at best. It does make good use of the GameCube's Rumble feature, I'll give it that, but otherwise, meh. 45, Darts of Doom. Another of Doom minigame. Oh gosh. The players take turns throwing darts at a spinning dartboard, trying to score as many points as possible. The one to get the highest score wins. That's it. This one feels kind of luck-based since the dartboard spins so fast, but it's not totally luck-based, so it's a little better than the other luck-based ones I've gone over already. But even so, I don't really care for it. 44, Rumble Fishing. You're just fishing, sitting, waiting for a bite, at which point your controller will rumble, at which point you have to reel it in. The first player to do so wins. This one takes razor-sharp focus and reflexes plus a good reaction time, but even so, it's quite simplistic, and as you can probably tell, very short, so I can't rank it any higher than this. Hey, that's fishing for you. 43, Domination. You're just mashing your button to mash a hammer to make whomps pop up out of the ground. The player who gets the most whomps wins. Just a simple button masher, that's all. I normally like button mashing games, but this one's just kind of short, unimmersive, and boring, with a pretty meh concept. That's all I can really say for this one. 42, Take a Breather. This is another masher, but it's a little better than Domination because now you don't just mash one button, you alternate between two to take deep breaths. The more you do so, the longer you'll be able to stay underwater. The one who stays under the longest wins. But even with this slight edge over Domination, Take a Breather is, again, just kind of short, and the concept, not really special. Oh, all these short minigames, they're making me short, man. 41, Slime Time. Sorry, another masher, but this one's a bit different. How so? There's less room for error, since you're attached to a big slime, and if you mash too slow, you'll get pulled back. So for that reason, this one's a slightly better masher. Or should I say, a slimely better masher. Don't be throwing metaphorical tomatoes, and bonus, its concept is a little more interesting. Or at the very least, funny. Slime Time is a prime time. I said, don't be throwing metaphorical tomatoes. 40, Bomb Breakers. Basically, think Mario's Puzzle Party from Mario Party 3, except with the addition of, hence the name, bombs, which by completely covering with shapes you have to blow up. Doing so scores you points, and the first player to reach 100 points wins. This one's just a kind of generic puzzle game. I guess it is kind of fun, and the bomb gimmick is pretty cool, but I don't know if I'd say I love it. 39, Making Waves. Imagine Title Toss from Mario Party 3? Jeez. But with the roles reversed. The team players are reaching their own water tube and must keep ground pounding to try and knock the lone player into the water. If they can do so before time is up, they win, but if the lone player can survive the entire time, they win. This one's quite fun and thrilling, and for the lone player, on toe keeping. I think I slightly prefer Title Toss, but this one is still good. 38, Bowser Wrestling. The players are wrestling each other, I think, by shoving? Alright then. And do so by mashing. If you can knock your opponent over the edge, you win. In terms of controls, this one is just like Rockin' Raceway from Mario Party 3. Oh my gosh. You have to mash the trigger buttons, but not too fast, or you'll run out of stamina, unless you get a power-up. So it is fun, but I think Rockin' Raceway is quite better, due to having a better premise. 37, Mushroom Medic. A line of characters will appear, one of which will have a heartbeat different from the others. Using the GameCube controller's Rumble feature, you have to weed the odd one out, and you'll score points each time you do. Try your best to get a new record. I will say, this one can drag on for a long time, but it takes good attention and keeps you focused, and I guess the concept is kind of unique. 36, Careening Koopas. Each player has their own board with 4 Koopa shells and 4 holes. You guessed it! You have to try and get all the shells into the holes. The first one to clear 3 boards wins. This one's actually a kind of good challenge. Also, I kind of see it as Tipsy Turny from Mario Party 3. Oops, I mean Mario Party 1 and 2, done right. Same concept, but more fun and fast-paced. 35, Trace Race. Each player has their own giant crayon, which they must use to trace a wavy line. The one to do so the most accurately wins. This one's kind of like a different version of Crazy Cutters from Mario Party 1 and 2, but as for whether I prefer that one or this one, it's kind of a hard choice. This one's a good bit harder, in my opinion a little too hard, but the concept is much more clever and unique, so if I had to give one the slight edge, I'd have to pick this one. 34, Order Up. Each team has their own spinning table with 10 fast food items on it. They must memorize as many as possible before they get covered by boxes and spun around. Total then order 2 items, and the first team to select 2 of the correct items scores a point, and the first team to 3 points wins. This one is fun and memory testing, and requires close attention, and those are the kinds of things minigames need in order to be high up on my list. 33. Mario Medley. Here you swim in a pool. In case you couldn't tell, to swim you have to mash, but not too fast or you'll run out of stamina, with the button combinations changing with each lap. The first one to complete 3 laps wins. What do I like about this one? That it's a racing game? You know, I really don't have a clue. Why you wouldn't know that by now? The stamina aspect and uninteresting concepts do hold it back, but even with that, it's for sure fun. 32. Photo finish. Each player has their own photo, which will break up into many puzzle pieces. They have to put each back in the right spot one by one, and the first to completely reassemble their photo wins. The concept here is not really special, but this minigame takes close focus and it's just plain fun. Sorry, that's all I can say. As the old adage goes, some minigames are just fun for a few simple reasons. 31. Jigsaw Jitters. Basically the same thing as photo finish, but you're by yourself and you have a ton more pieces to reassemble, and your goal is to get a new record. This is a rare case where a solo version of a free-for-all is better, because this one's a better challenge, and, well, actually, that's about it. So it's only better by a small margin, but better is better. I'd better move on now. 30. Stamp Out. The players, atop a huge canvas, each have their own pogo stamp, I guess, with which they must jump around, trying to cover as much of the canvas with their color as they can. The one who colors the most wins. This one, quite fun, clever concept, and most of all, it lets you mess with your opponent since you can stamp over and replace their markings with yours. Stamp Out, more like Stamp Champ? 29. Bowser Bop. The players, each with their own hammer, are in a room in which several toy Bowsers and baby Bowsers will keep popping up. Of course, you have to score points by hitting as many of them as you can. The one with the most points when time is up wins. Concept, not noteworthy, because, you know, whack-a-mole. But even despite that, it's really fun. I will say, it'd be better if the controls were a bit smoother, but even as it is, I like it a lot. 28. Parasailing. On each team, one player drives a motorboat while the other's parasailing, trying to grab coins. Again, no real notable concept here, but even so, it's really fun for both players. And bonus, it's also on toe-keeping for the drivers, since they have to both watch out for crates and make sure their teammates line up with the coins, i.e., it takes good teamwork, and for all that, this is a really good coin cache. 27. Mystic Matchup. There are tons of face-down cards, and the players take turns flipping them over one by one in exchange for a card from their hand. The first player to get 3 matching cards wins. I know what you're thinking. I thought you hated luck-based games! And yes, I normally do, but relatively speaking, luck is only a minor part of this minigame. I mean, the cards do stay turned over, and I've always liked match-em card games, and this is just a nice and simple one. 26. Long Claw of the Law. Players, using long claw grabbers, must grab one of the wanted enemy once it appears out of the many doors. The first player to grab 3 of the wanted enemy wins. This one is just fun, and requires you to pay close attention. Sorry, that's all I can say for this minigame. I've lost track of how many times I've already said this, but some minigames just don't have much to them. It's practically a law by this point. I'm just laying down the law. 25. Cliffhangers. Both teams climb up a mountain in the midst of a blizzard. The wind will intermittently blow harder, and when this happens, you have to hold on tight, for if you don't, you'll get blown away. The first team to reach the top wins. Yes, this minigame is quite slow-paced, but in this case, it's not a big deal, given how on toe keeping it is. The concept isn't really that special, but regardless, it's definitely a fun minigame. 24. Tree Stomp. The team players, each in their own, wooden spiky vehicle, whatever you want to call them, must chase and catch the lone player. If they can do so before time expires, they win, but if the lone player can survive the entire time, they win. Again, this minigame is pretty slow-paced, well, at least for the team, but just like Cliffhangers, it's really on toe-keeping, well, for the lone player at least, and also thrilling, and for everyone, super fun. 23. Beach Volley. As you can surely tell, this one's just regular beach volleyball, so concept, nothing noteworthy, obviously, but even so, it's still quite fun. I will say, the controls can sometimes feel a bit, what's the word, off? It could just be me, but even if it is, it doesn't always feel that way, so this minigame can certainly be fun, block concept or no block concept. 22. Archaeus. 5 floating stones will spin around, and you have to find out which one is spinning differently from the others. If you can do so before your opponent, you'll score a point, and first to 3 points wins. This one takes close, intense focus. Sorry, that's it. I just love how much it forces you to pay attention, but there is more. This time, the concept is actually noteworthy. It's both interesting and unique. About time I got to talk about concept again. 21. The Great Deflate. Each team has their own thwomp balloon, which by ground pounding, they must... what was it again? I'm drawing a blank. This is the most perplexing question yet. This one might take me all day. Oh, it's f***ing obvious! Inflate them! I mean, duh, how can I be so stupid? This one can kind of be seen as a 2v2 version of totem pole pounds from Mario Party 2. You have to keep ground pounding with good timing, but this one's definitely superior, because, duh, it takes good teamwork, since if you and your partner ground pound in perfect unison, you'll inflate your balloon faster. Wait, or is it deflate? I'm having second thoughts. 20. Reverse a bomb. Each team must push buttons to make the bombs on the platform in between them turn around towards the other team, and if a bomb reaches the edge of their side, it'll explode, and that team will lose 1 point, and the first team to lose all 10 points loses. Or if neither team runs out of points before time expires, the one who has the most points left wins. This one is fun, thrilling, and nerve-wracking, with quite an interesting concept. 19. Money belts. This one takes place on conveyor belts, the lone player on the smaller top one, and the team on the bigger bottom one. The lone player must try to get as many coins as he or she can, and the team has to get the ones he or she misses. This one has a kind of interesting concept for a coin cache, and even beyond that, it's really fun. Kind of like Coin Shower Flower from Mario Party 1, some people think it's broken in the lone player's favor, but personally, I don't agree. Well, at least not to the same extent. 18. Paratroopa Plunge. Sorry, another coin cache. Here, you're skydiving, and of course, you want to get as many coins as you can, while at the same time dodging Shy Guys and Paratroopas. If you get hit too many times, you're out, like Money Belts. This is a really fun coin cache. Its concept, not that special, but again, it's mad fun, so who cares? Although, I wonder, wouldn't Paratroopa Plunge be a better name? 17. Blame it on the crane. The team players are each in their own hamster, ball, toy, capsule, things. Alright then. And the lone player operating a crane must catch all 3 of them. If they can do so in the time limits, they win, but if not, the team wins. This one's concept is, not gonna lie, pretty funny, and it's also really fun, thrilling, and on toe-keeping. Don't hate the player, hate the crane. Yeah, sorry, I'll shut up now. 16. Fish and drips. Each side must fill a huge tank with water, the lone player by pushing 6 buttons in order, and the team by each member pressing 1 specific button each, and the first side to completely fill their tank wins. They should also be careful not to push any incorrect buttons, since that'll cost them valuable time. This one is just plain fun, and I just love button pushing minigames. In a nutshell, it's just nice and simple, kind and easy. 15. Toad's Quick Draw. Each round, several balloons will appear. The nearby Toad will hold up a sign, and the players with pop guns must shoot the balloon that matches said sign's color. First who does so scores 1 point, and the first player to get 3 points wins. This one takes intense focus and a good reaction time, and also, its concept is pretty neat. And of course, it's a shooting game, and who doesn't love shooting games? 14. Team Treasure Trek. There's a maze, and the players must run through it and try to find an item box that matches their team's color, after which they have to meet up with their teammate with the other box. The team who does so first wins. The players have a first-person view of the maze rather than an overhead one, which will make it harder for them to navigate, although there is a small map to help them with this, which they can look at by pausing. Really fun, good challenge, teamwork, clever concept, what more do I have to say? 13. Hop or Pop. Each player's in their own bouncy ball, but the lone player's got a large spiked one and must use it to pop all the team players' balls. Don't take that out of context. Doing so means he or she wins, but if even one team player can survive the entire time, the team wins. Although a bit lacking in concept, this one is really fun, and, for the team, nerve-wracking. Every time it comes up, I jump for joy, cause, you know, it's called Hop or Pop. 12. Three throw. There are 3 lines of moving basketball hoops, and I'm not totally sure because I don't know much about basketball, but I'm pretty sure you have to keep throwing basketballs to try to get them in said hoops. I could be wrong, and I also think doing so might score you points, and maybe the player with the most points when time is up wins? And I might love this concept and think it's really fun and requires good timing. I don't do well with uncertainty. 11. Goomba Stomp, or basically a solo version of Tree Stomp. You're in that same odd, woody, spiky vehicle with which you must knock as many Goombas out as you can, shooting for a new record, of course. I think this one beats Tree Stomp because it's more fun and lasts longer, and since, like I've said a lot of times before, minigames tend to be more fun with more players. Cause you know, the more the merrier. That's really saying something. 10. Avalanche. Each player is skiing down a large mountain, away from a falling avalanche behind them. Any player to get caught in the avalanche loses, and the first player to reach the cliff wins. This one is very fun, thrilling, and nerve-wracking, and is even a bit challenging, especially with those troublesome rocks. Sorry, I can't think of anything else to say. Like I've said a lot of times already, some minigames are just good for a few or even one simple reason. 9. Manta Rings. Here you swim underwater and must pass through as many Manta Rings as you can. Doing so scores you points, and the one with the most points at the end wins. And side note, watch out for bloopers, eels, and sharks, since if you touch them you'll lose points. This one's mad fun and on toe-keeping. It doesn't have much in the way of concept, but again, who cares? If a minigame's fun enough, which this one definitely is, concepts doesn't matter. 8. Butterfly Blitz. The players, each with their own net, are in a flower field full of butterflies. And who would have guessed, you want to catch as many of them as you can. Each one you catch will net your points. Net it, and whoever has the most points at the end wins. I'll just get this out of the way, this minigame's concept is meh. But that's the only meh thing about it. It's incredibly fun and exhilarating. Who knew butterfly catching could be such a good time? 7. The Final Battle. This one's the final boss battle.
You don't say!
You have to make your way through many different trials, jumping from platform to platform over lava while avoiding fire, completing puzzles before finally reaching Bowser at the end. Once there, you have to ground pound 3 buttons to make magic triangles, which, if he's inside them, will damage Bowser. Hit Bowser 5 times and you win, but lose all your health before that and you lose. What can I say? This is an epic final boss battle. Super fun and a good challenge. What's not to love about it? 6. Paths of Peril. Each player has their own long, narrow, winding path, which, obviously, they must make their way across, being careful not to fall off. The first player to reach the end of their path wins. There is some level of luck involved, since there are split paths, some of which are longer and have more turns. But even despite that, this minigame's really on toe-keeping, nerve-wracking, a good challenge, takes close focus, and with all that, it's insanely fun, so the luck aspect doesn't bother me at all here. I know, who'd have thunk it, right? 5. Mr. Blizzard's Brigade. This one takes place on a frozen lake, and the players have to avoid snowballs thrown by tons of Mr. Blizzards. If you get hit by one, you're out, and the last player standing, or anyone still standing when time is up, wins. I'm pretty sure this goes without saying, but this one is mega fun and on toe-keeping, and it's also a good challenge, since more Mr. Blizzards will keep showing up, which means more snowballs to avoid, and of course the ice physics. And bonus, its concept is really cool, no pun intended, and original. Definitely an all-around top-tier minigame. 4. Bombb Crossing. You're in an intersection with a legion of bombs, which of course you want to avoid. If you're too close to one when it blows up, you lose. But if you can break the record, you win. Just like Mr. Blizzard's Brigade, this one's extremely fun, exhilarating, and on toe-keeping. And the concept is kind of original, I guess. And it also keeps getting harder and harder, since as time passes, more bombs start showing up, and eventually they'll start chasing you. And if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you could get cornered. Another all-around epic minigame. 3. Book Squirm. You know, Mario Party 4's most iconic minigame. The players are standing on a huge book with the pages falling on them. However, said pages have some holes in them, and to avoid getting crushed, they must stand in the right place so as to go through one of these holes. Failing to do so results in elimination, and the last player standing is the winner. As the minigame progresses, the pages start falling faster and having less holes, which makes things much more challenging, fun, and on toe-keeping. This minigame is admittedly quite simple, but like I always say, simple is not synonymous with simplistic. Also, it's extremely fun, and quite challenging, and on toe-keeping. Wait, did I already say that? With a very clever and epic concept. 2. Chain Chomp Fever. You're on a rock platform with a chain chomp, which you must, avoid? Maybe? I really have no idea. And you also have to avoid fire. If you get hit by either, you're out. Once again, this one is mad fun, exhilarating, and on toe-keeping. And I think with a sort of original concept. And it also keeps getting harder and harder. Once again, since each time the chain chomp hits the wall, that part of the wall will crumble away, which means the next time it reaches that spot, it won't get dizzy, and you'll be able to charge again right away, making it harder to avoid. Another all-around, out-of-this-world minigame. 1. Dungeon Duos. The players make their way through a long dungeon with many different trials, pushing levers to lower a wall so their teammate can get through, twisting cranks to move platforms over a pit so their teammate can get across, and jumping in pipes until they find the one that leads to the final trial, which is inflating their hot air balloons with pumps so they can escape the dungeon. The first team to clear all these trials wins. I feel like no other minigame requires as much teamwork as this one, and I love teamwork-based games.
Who knew?
Also, it's extremely fun, and quite challenging, with a pretty clever concept for good measure. Although I think the platforms over the pit should be a bit bigger, all the good things about Dungeon Duos easily make it my #1 favorite Mario Party 4 minigame of all time. Sorry, Book Squirm, and people who have Book Squirm as their #1. So there you have it, my ranking of every Mario Party 4 minigame. For more videos like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, please check out my social media. All links are in the description. A quadruple thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Mikoro out.